What do you get when you have a board of directors breathing down your neck and they assigned you a set budget and a part limit that you can use when you're designing a Lego set? Well, you would have every other Lego theme ever to exist, but in this case, let's talk about Bionicle. Bionicle is a victim to this as well, and because of that, sometimes sets can look not as great as the prototypes. But I feel one set that stays true to being great is Nuparu. Nuparu Mari is one of my favorite Bionicle sets. He's right here in the middle, and there's just so much going on. Like, first of all, I love the black and gray color scheme that he's got going on, similar to Onua and Wainua. I think that just suits a Toe of Earth really well. And speaking of color, look at his mask, his shield, and his Kordak blaster. What do they all have in common? They're all silver. Basically, his most important bits are like highlighted by the fact that they're silver, and I think that's just great color coordination on this set. Of course, he has like a little bit of silver in the back, but I feel like that's a part of his mask because it's his breathing apparatus. Nuparu's also got like the spiky look. He's got very nice armor pieces here. These nice spiky ones. They really give him a very angled look, and on top of that, when you bundle that with his Paraka feet with the really spiky toes and these Paraka melee forearms, it all looks like he's going for like, hey, don't touch me, I'm very thorny or something. I don't know. It's very underwater theme because there are a lot of like spiky kind of fish and stuff like pufferfish. Anyways, I really love Nuparu, but you know, I like him, but even I can tell that there are like some things that, you know, I probably wouldn't really care for or I would have fixed if I could. For example, I mentioned his Paraka arms. Yeah, they kind of limit his movement in his hands, especially, which is something you don't really want in my opinion, because you want to be able to like move your character in all different kind of poses and stuff. On top of that, it makes this Kordak blaster very awkward to hold. Like, I don't think that's a legal connection technically, because it's kind of like it's not all going all the way in, and it can't. His shield, like, you can't really turn it to the side, like in front of him that well. It doesn't go all the way in front of him. I don't know. Maybe you can do that. I don't really want to break my Bionicle set to figure that out though. Another problem I would say is like he's very bare bone. He's like kind of lanky. Like he's a Toe of Earth. I know, and he should be able to command a much heavier grade of armor, I feel, because I mean, look at him, he's like very gappy in these parts, and that's another problem he has a lot of gaps like in his armor, gaps there. His legs and arms are very notorious. I feel like those are like some of his weakest points, are they're all very gappy, and his back is pretty bare. I feel like that breathing apparatus, if it wasn't there, this would be even worse, but it's still pretty bare in my opinion. Like, look at those arms. So, I still love this set. And I would say it's like one of my top 5 favorite Bionicle sets. Now that I'm older, actually, and I can buy my own Bionicles, I can change them up and make them look better than they appeared in the set form back in the day. And that's something I really love to do, is do Bionicle revamps, where you take an existing set and you just change him up a little bit, add some greeble, add some details, change the way his limbs look, for example, but kind of staying true to the original set. So that's what I did here by revamping Nuparu in my own style. This is my Nuparu revamp. Let's just move these guys out of the way. Yeah, so this is my Nuparu revamp. So let's talk about some things that I kept the same. For one thing, I stayed true to his color scheme, black and dark bluish gray. I didn't want to use any other colors, and I have a ton of black and gray pieces, so this kind of all worked out. On top of that, his mask is the same. He still has his breathing apparatus for the most part. And another thing is I kept some of his armor. For example, his chest and his 2 shoulder armor pieces. I actually didn't have a lot of these, so I kind of substituted them for these Borak eyes on the bottom in black. Overall, I think they look really well. Let me zoom in a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. Let's talk about some things I changed here. For example, it's pretty obvious I changed his lower arms for these Vaki lower leg pieces, and I feel that really helps him because now he can move his hands in all different ways, and his shield can go in all different ways too. Look at that. He can put his shield now in front of him, and I think that looks really good for him. Another thing is I added a lot more bulk to him, like these thorn pieces. Like I put these here, and they kind of add to his spiky look that he's going for. Another thing is this armor on his legs. You see this? These are from Knight's Kingdom. Also this part here as well. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. It's a Knight's Kingdom. It looks like a little like one of those crabs, you know, those really old crabs. I don't know what it's called though. So yeah, I used these Knight's Kingdom pieces. They're lower leg armor, and they got spikes on them, and they're in black, so it made sense to use them. You can connect them by using these anti-studs on the back, because, you know, as we all know, Knight's Kingdom was a system like theme for the most part. It used a lot of regular Lego bricks and stuff like that, and that armor actually just slips right on his leg. There we go. Something else about his lower legs, his feet actually, is I switched out his Paraka feet for these Mantax feet, and I think they work really well because look at that. When they go over the armor, they slip very nicely, and it kind of like seals it off. I think that looks nicer than the Paraka feet actually. Also gives him like a strong lower body as well. As you can see here, like his legs are pretty beefy. I don't know if it's like easy to tell, but like it kind of like early Mega Man. If you look at the art for it, they all have like really big lower leg extremities. Oh, and look at that. By the way, I love to add fingers to my Lego sets because, or my Bionicle sets, because it gives them just a little bit more character, I feel. And in this case, I used the simple hand design. Like I used this tap piece right here to act as a thumb. It moves in all different directions. This is cool, just like your real thumb. And I added this system piece here because I don't know if you know this, the old Bionicle hands, they have these like little slits in them, and they can actually hold the stud very well. Like you can put it right there and it'll hold. And you can even add another finger if you wanted to, but I don't like my Lego sets kind of falling apart, even if I'm just using them to take pictures. So I prefer to just replace one of those extra fingers with just an Anika hand piece. Oh, that fell on the floor. I have one also built for his shield hand if he's ever not using his shield. So actually, that's right here. And let's see what that looks like. I just need to snap off the shield piece, and we can see that in action. Yeah, there we go. We have him have another hand, and he can like give you a thumbs up. He's telling you to like the video. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place with his updates and things like that. But another thing I wanted to fix was his gappiness. As you can see here, I replaced like his lower legs that didn't have armor before with this armor, this Knight's Kingdom armor piece. Another thing I did was I placed these two Exoforce hand pieces. It's very hard to see. These Exoforce hand pieces right here go inside his armor, and that actually blocks up some of the gaps because there's these bar pieces here and they fit perfectly well. And also the tightness, it keeps everything blocked off, and I think it looks great. Yeah, so if you look at his back, his legs they're still pretty bare bone, but it was getting like really, like there was just too much, I feel. I don't even know what I can do for the back legs, honestly. So those are kind of exposed. Well, I mean, heroes can't be invincible, you know, so. Yeah, so I added also these Metru torso armor piece, I guess Metru thigh armor pieces to the top of his arms, and that kind of covers up the back of it, and all the while giving him these strong upper arms. They're pretty big, but they're pretty sleek also. They fit very nicely with the original set as well. And on top of that, I gave him this Kina fin armor. I found it in black. I don't know what set it comes in black, but I've had one, and I used it as like a back fin. kind of giving him a little bit of like I don't know, like a fast like fish kind of look. I mean, it makes sense. He is Toamari, so he would have like a little bit of a aquatic style to him, I feel. And yeah, there's not really much else to talk about him. He's a set I really like, had a lot of fun building. I feel like Revamp going, he was actually the one I spent the most amount of time on, probably like 2 or 3 days, really, just to get fine tune everything. And I'm really proud of him. And that's that's the one nice thing about these revamps is that they don't really take a lot of time. For example, I did a revamp of Kelma. If you follow my Instagram, you would know that I did a revamp of Kelma, and people really like him a lot. They really like to look at him. I don't know if they really like to look at him, but people really liked him, and he got like he's my most liked Instagram post, sitting at like I think like 500 likes. I had to turn off the notifications because it was getting a little crazy. I think it's 500. It's the 28th. I don't know. 28th of April. So I haven't checked in a long time. Maybe I'll check after this video. But yeah, it was like a Calma mock. I had a lot of fun making, and it only took like an hour. I had an hour before my class started, and I wanted to do something like fun, but not like too stupid. So I just decided, why not build a Bionicle revamp? I had a Calma, an extra one, and I just added some more details. Believe it or not, that torso, his torso is still here, and his lower, like his body's basically the same. Very little has changed. I guess like the only thing that's really changed is the way that like stuff is placed. But that's the fun thing about revamps, is you can kind of just do whatever you want. Really, you're just adding details to an already existing Bionicle set and changing up things. So yeah, that's why I think revamps are fun. They don't really take a lot of effort to do. You don't have to really design anything new for it. You can just kind of add details to it, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, Kalma is not my only revamp as well. As you can see, I Rooney in the back right there. I also designed a Rooney revamp as well. And I think I like mine's even more than the original. Just because like he covered up those like it's hard to see actually, but I covered up those those pieces for his arms that kind of keep him swinging, those bush pieces. I covered them up with tires, and I think that works really well. And on top of that, I gave him this Knight's Kingdom armor and a Takanuva chest plate, and that just makes him look even more like a knight, I feel. I I really like how he turned out, and also I gave him this cool Knight's Kingdom flat dark gold spear piece because I felt it looked more like a spear than his original Chronicler staff piece. This looks like more like he can stab something or throw it like a javelin. But yeah, guys, that's just something I wanted to make a video on, where these kinds of a different style of mocking called revamping. They're a lot of fun. They actually can be very affordable also, because you're basically taking existing Bionicle sets and just adding a few details to them. It could be as simple as just adding like small details like this Iruni, just adding a little pieces of armor. Or you can go all out like this Kalma and add like all different kinds of like extra details and use like a little more expensive parts like these slicer feet in dark red, or these rubber Technic hand pieces with the axle hole on the top of them. But yeah, it's up to you, and it's up to whatever budget you have. Bionicle is a little bit harder to shop for these days, but definitely check Bricklink, check Local. Local would probably be like even better than Bricklink actually. But yeah, see what you have and work with that. It doesn't even have to be color accurate. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, and please consider subscribing because I will be coming back to this topic. Wow, we are already at the 16-minute mark. That is way too much rambling. Alright, bye guys.